they don't need to understand every change you make for yourself. This is for you, not for anybody else. We are never tied down or committed or married to being an older version of ourselves. Even who you were yesterday is irrelevant if it's not who you want to be today. You can let it go and start over. So for me, part of that was working on the ability to say no, to not just be a yes man or yes woman, but really think about and consider what it is that I'm agreeing to. We don't need to pretend that we know everything or have all the answers. Like we can be curious and admit that out loud.
We are about to embark on an immersive journey through the corridors of our minds. Stand by as we prepare for departure.
Welcome aboard, everyone, to the Productivity with Peace of Mind podcast adventure. Our journey will begin in just a moment. Inhale deeply and exhale. Our voyage takes us on a captivating tour, diving deep into the intricate layers of our thoughts and imagination. Brace yourselves for the complexities of our evolution. For a safe and enjoyable journey, stay seated. Secure your helmet and protective goggles, and keep hands, feet, and legs inside while the ride is moving. Now relax and enjoy.
What if I told you the life that we want is absolutely available, but it just might be buried underneath the weight of all of these things internally and externally that hold pressure over us, over what we think we're supposed to do or we think we should do. And what if instead of adding more goals, habits, or, more of that pressure, what if it was actually about taking things away that aren't actually helping you or don't actually make that much of a difference? So that you actually have the time and the energy to spend on what it is that matters most to you. Like the thing that keeps you up at night that you're not working on, that you're not spending time on, that you're not focusing on is buried or might be buried under the things that you feel like you're supposed to do, or you've just done it for so long that you want to keep doing it. And maybe you just need a little shovel to start digging in and finding what it is underneath. I spent last year, the year of 2024, in kind of this experiment with myself. A lot of it was going through some major health challenges, spending time at the Mayo Clinic and going through their programs, learning all about the things I was doing that were holding me back or maybe pushed me forward until they held me back. For example, overdoing to prove or earn some type of worthiness or acceptance only ends up leading to burnout and crashing, which allows you over time to be a lot less productive than you are if you can balance that out, not overdo, and then you're more consistent over a day-to-day basis. So I spent last year shedding all of these identities, these expectations, and these older rules that I somehow still thought I needed to follow in regards to who I am, who I think I'm supposed to be, who other people want me to be. And little by little, layer by layer, it started to change everything for me. And it's not just about decluttering or taking something like you would out of your closet and donate it or throw it away or give it to somebody or whatever. It's about actually releasing the patterns, the roles, the identities. So, like for me, one of them was doing my hair and wearing makeup every single day. And, doing your hair, styling your hair is subjective because you could say what I do now a lot of the times is still styling my hair. But what I mean is like a full blowout or straightening my hair or spending a lot more time making my hair look different than it naturally does. And one thing I started doing and learning how to do is really embrace and love and appreciate and wear my natural curls. And I actually get so many compliments on my natural hair. Way more. I didn't even think I would get one. So it's way more, but it's also a huge surprise for me because for so long, I think a lot of it was, performing in competitive dance, performing in high school, like always feeling you have to be dolled up and just ready to go in the way that takes the most effort. And over the years, that became less and less, but I was still spending a lot of time doing my hair and makeup, or even, for the makeup piece, being able to walk out the door without any makeup on, or being able to take a Zoom call without any makeup. Like in the past, if I wasn't wearing makeup, I would either hurry and put it on for a video call or a meeting or to leave the house, or I wouldn't even turn my video on, saying, oh, it's a no makeup day. I'm not going to let anybody see that I'm not wearing makeup. Because before that, I was, falling for that trap that so many of us fall for, or misbelief that, feeling fulfilled and feeling better requires like adding more things or, achieving more or, fixing, quote unquote, ourselves, which none of us need fixing. We're all who we are. And then on top of that, we continue to grow and learn every day. We're not fixing anything. We're not, you know, a broken toy that needs repair. But like I said before, it's usually those meaningful pieces are usually buried underneath. So it really comes down to taking away like all of that excess time that, and I still blow out my hair, I still wear makeup, all of those things, but I don't put that pressure on myself that I can't leave the house or log on to a video call without it. I'm very confident in my own skin. I very much love myself the way I am. And then when I do those other things, they just become a bonus or an add-on. Every year I have a word of the year that I set as kind of my overarching theme and intention for the year, that all of my then focus and goals and all of those things, kind of fall under. And last year, my word of the year was actually focus. And so, what I didn't realize is that also meant not just focusing more, right? You think of that and you think of adding and doing more, but it's actually, it ended up being exactly that, the subtraction, the letting go, the surrender, and allowing what didn't fit or what took up too much space without an ROI in my life ended up falling away and melting away because I allowed it to. So I want you to ask yourself, or if you are in a space where you have a journal handy or even just the notes app on your phone, consider your answer to this question. If I could take one thing off of my plate, or if I could stop doing one thing, or even stop worrying about one thing, and then either never have to do it again or never pressure myself to do it, like never require that of myself, what would that be? Like what would it be for you to let go of that you could feel just that exhale of relief, that sigh of relief that you've let it go and you're no longer going to pressure yourself to do that, what would that be? And if you're going to journal, go ahead and pause the audio just so that you can really drop into your own thoughts and listen to what that would be and capture your thoughts before you continue listening. And it goes so much further than physical looks or our, physical presence and how we present ourselves and show up and dress up and things like that. It's also about our energy and our boundaries and how much we're doing for other people or even for ourselves if it's things we don't actually need, or it could be things at work. I know it can be really tempting to say yes to everyone and everything because we want to be seen as capable or like a good person. Even sometimes it's just about like, I want to be good, I want to be accepted. And it's been said 1,000 times, or probably a million times, but we want to be part of our tribe, right? It goes back to our primal days and just basic human instinct of wanting to be part of a community so that like it literally was for survival. And that's still ingrained in our brain today, whether we're consciously aware of that happening or not. So for me, part of that was working on the ability to say no, to not just be a yes man or yes woman, but really think about and consider what it is that I'm agreeing to and thinking through what it would actually take, how much energy it would take, how much effort it would take, how much time, right? Resources, all of that. Is that something I truly have the capacity and capability for? And do I want to do it? Right? Do I even want to do it? If you go back to one of the very first episodes of my podcast where I interviewed my mom, Jackie Hansen, she talks about that extensively, this idea of not saying how she never wants to be the person who says yes to something and then can't fulfill it and let you down in that way. And that is so admirable to me and how I continue to strive to operate for myself. And so, being able to say no, like let's say it's at work and you're just overdoing and overgiving and working long hours and you're just going nonstop, but that's not sustainable long term. So eventually you're going to burn out and then you're going to let everybody down in a much bigger way. If you start setting small boundaries now and focusing on what actually needs to be done and what is actually important, that is where you actually get the most impact, not just from doing the things that matter, but also by conserving and saving your own energy and brain space. We don't need to be on all of the time. And it doesn't matter if you're, early on in your career and in an entry level position, or if you're a senior leader. You don't like it's such a misconception that like even business owners talk about, I can't turn it off. I'm always on. My brain is always going. Yes, and what can you do about it to shut it off? How can you let go a little bit more? How can you work to turn that off? Because that's also a story we're telling ourselves, right? That is a thought, not an actual fact or circumstance. It's something that we're choosing to believe and therefore continuing to fulfill. So, what can you let go of? How can you turn it off? What kind of ritual for yourself can you set morning and night so you know when you're plugging into work and turning off from work and turning on to your personal life and your personal time and your personal energy and what it is that you want to do and how you actually want to spend your own personal time? Because I promise you, thinking about a problem and worrying and spinning in that, stressful state in your brain through the night and messing up your sleep, that's not actually helping anybody. It's not helping the company. It's not helping your employees. It's not helping your team. It's not helping you. You're going to be more tired in the morning. You're going to be more stressed out. You might respond in ways that you're not super proud of. And ultimately, you're not going to get the results that you want. So really, it really does become about choosing, actively choosing and deciding to let it go. And that's just what it takes to be able to get that brain space back and tap into what really matters most to you and make the impact you actually want to make. Like give yourself permission for that. Let me give you permission. Like take this as your sign that it's time to choose that. Regardless if it feels hard now, decide a new thought that's actually helpful for you, that allows you to let go. And in our relationships with others, we don't need to be hiding our feeling. That actually hiding our feelings and emotions and like what we're actually thinking, even if it feels scary to say out loud, that takes more energy. It's like holding up this really big, heavy metal shield in front of you when you can actually just set it down. You are burning up your own energy by doing that. It's okay to be sad, angry, uncertain, frustrated, anxious, any of those feelings, and not needing to, be apologetic for our existence. We've all done it. I'm guilty. I know because I'm also guilty. But it's also not about like lashing out and resist. Like, so anytime you are like visibly angry or combative or, you know, aggressive in any way, that's actually not feeling that emotion. That's actually resisting it because you're getting more agitated by not wanting to feel that emotion. I could sit here, like, let's say you're sitting across the table from me, and I could sit here and have a completely, mostly emotionless face, and I could be feeling immense joy and happiness, or I could be feeling intense anger or sadness, and you may not even know, but I might be deep in it feeling that. It doesn't have to equate to what's externally on our face. We have facial expressions to express that to others or, feel more deeply into something, but it's not about what other people are experiencing. It's about being honest with yourself and then also honest verbally with others about what works for you and what doesn't. We don't have to be afraid of asking questions about what it is we want to know or, what we don't know. We don't need to pretend that we know everything or have all the answers. Like we can be curious and admit that out loud. If there's something you want to know about somebody that you know personally or someone at work, ask. If you're not sure about how someone operates, ask. If you don't know the answer to a question that someone is looking for from you, let them know you can go find out, right? And ask the right person. We are all human and we're all equipped and wired with all of these different emotions and feelings and thoughts, and we all have so many different experiences. It's actually kind of crazy when you think about how any of us pretend that we don't have that experience or don't have those emotions. And another heavy shield that we carry is hiding our needs. That was a big one for me. Like all of my past relationships, I was afraid to say out loud what I needed and wanted in order to feel supported and connected and loved and happy in a relationship with somebody else. I didn't want to burden them. I didn't want to seem like too much. I didn't want to feel like I was asking for a lot. I wanted to be accommodating and loving, and I was so much more worried about who loved me instead of worrying about, well, who did I actually love and where did I actually want to be and what situation did I actually want to be in? So as you listen to me talk through these examples for either emotional or relational examples, I want you to think about either it can be like obvious surface level things or it can be like deeper, underneath layers on some, shifts and changes you might want to make in how you show up, how you conversate, how you communicate your own needs or express yourself. And then, you might start thinking about some of those smaller shifts, but then you might also work your way. Maybe you're journaling through this and you might work your way towards some of those bigger identity changes. Like you might even write down, this is a question and a prompt that I is part of my annual goal setting workshops that I teach at the beginning of every year. And it's who, like, I am no longer dot, dot, dot. And then you fill it in, right? So who am I no longer being or who am I no longer going to be? And then the next prompt is I am someone who do I want to be? Who am I going to be from this moment on? So if you are journaling through this one, you can go ahead and pause the audio and pick back up when you're done. As we go through this process of shedding and releasing these layers one by one by one, and just surrendering to the core of who we are, what we want, how we want to spend our time, resistance can come up, and that's okay. You might be a little bit afraid of judgment from others. I know for me, in the professional sense, it was letting go of the identity of the overachiever, the overdoer, not needing to, work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and beyond, just to prove that I'm worthy to, okay, what can I actually spend my time on that's the most important? And then let go of the rest and stop using beyond what I'm capable of within my own energy, within my own desires. Or if you go back to the example of like hair and makeup, thinking people will be like, oh, she's just letting herself go. She's giving up on herself. When in reality, that's who knows? Maybe people thought that, but I mean, that doesn't matter. And even the compliments that I received of how, beautiful my natural curls are, that also doesn't matter because I wasn't doing it for the compliments. Does that make sense? So we're letting go of what people think, regardless if it's positive or negative. It actually doesn't matter. What matters is our own energy management and tapping into the core of who we are within ourselves. We are never tied down or committed or married to being an older version of ourselves. Even who you were yesterday is irrelevant if it's not who you want to be today. You can let it go and start over. Every day, every hour, every moment is a fresh start for you to decide, who do I want to be? How do I want to show up? What do I want to let go of? And there could even be a little bit of anxiety around like, oh, what will happen if I stop, doing this or that? Like maybe if you are, working a lot of extra hours that aren't really necessary, or you're stressing over something at work that's not really that impactful to anybody anyway. But you might still think, oh, if I let go of this, what happens if I let go? Well, like, will the ball drop? Will something fall through the cracks? Will something bad happen? But you have to trust yourself to be able to have that conversation within, that the things you're let going of are truly the things that are not making the impact, so that you then have that confidence to allow them to fall away. And then having that confidence as well on the other side that what is truly important and what is truly matters will stay in that core focus of mine. And not everybody needs to understand, like your coworkers, your family, your friends, your network. They don't need to understand every change you make for yourself. This is for you, not for anybody else. It's like I said, it's not about, disappointing anybody or even getting compliments. It's not about the positive or the negative. And one of the tricky things too is when you have people in your life who, what I mean, I'm not saying it's malicious. It could be, it could not be, but who have been taking advantage of your overdoing or your overgiving, you might get pushback from them because they were benefiting from you overextending yourself. But those who truly matter will not. I mean, they might have a slight moment of hesitation if they're really used to it, but those who really matter and who really love you and care for you are not going to be the ones that react poorly or rudely or disrespectfully to you when you decide to set a boundary that's best for your time, your energy, your health, your mentality, your mindset, your mental health. So, how do we handle all these different forms of resistance, whether it's from ourselves internally or from others outside of us? Really connect to and remember why it is you're doing what you're doing, why it is you choose what to let go of, why it is you're shedding, why it is you're taking off those extra layers that are weighing you down so heavily. And you could write like a sentence, two sentences, a paragraph of what that means to you, why it's important, or you could even have a list of benefits you're aiming for. Like, I want more mental space. I want to think more clearly. I want to have more energy. I want to sleep better at night. I want to wake up more refreshed. I want to smile more. I want time for my family, right? There's just so many reasons, and you could list that whole list out and keep it handy so that you remember why. So when it feels hard or someone derails your focus on that, or makes you feel like you need to pick up back a layer and put it back on like a big heavy coat that's not comfortable, you can go back to that list or back to your, paragraph about your why and say, yeah, no, this is what this means to me. So I'm not going to let it go because it's important. And this is a gift that I decided to give myself that I'm now giving myself. And allow yourself safe spaces to process whatever it is that does come up for you, because things will come up and they're not there to avoid and ignore. They're there to process and work through. So you could talk with a trusted friend, a therapist. You can journal through it on a regular basis so that you're staying connected to what is coming up and allowing it to move through you versus getting stuck and then that being yet another heavy layer. Because ultimately, letting go of what no longer serves you and taking off these heavy layers that are burdening you takes so much strength. It's not a failure to let go. It's not a weakness. It's not lazy. It is so strong. And you are so strong. And I'm so proud of you for taking this time with me today to talk through this and work through this. And if you're stopping in journaling, your commitment is even higher to yourself to really make this a reality for you, not just think about it and then continue to limp around or, waddle around with this so much extra weight that you just don't need to be carrying. And in the beginning, some things will be super obvious. You'll be like, yep, this has got to go. Or nope, this is absolutely staying. This is super important. But as time goes on, the layers will get more and more nuanced. So some things that you can ask yourself in regards to whether or not it's something you want to shed or hold on to, if it gives you energy or if it drains you. Like, do I feel better after this or do I feel worse? Or maybe it's circumstantial, right? Dig into that, dig into the details of that to get more clarity on maybe it's something you let go of altogether. Maybe it's something you let go of as a requirement, but then you just do it as it feels good. And you can look at if you do something out of your own internal, real, like genuine desire of your own, not a desire that you feel out of obligation or fear, like that's been given to you from somebody else. So really figuring out where is this coming from, this urge or desire to do something. Whose is it? Is it mine? Is it truly, really mine? Or is it someone else's? And dig into that. You could also visualize or imagine, like, okay, if I never did this again, or if I stopped tomorrow, would my life get better? Would I feel better? Would I have more energy? Would things fall apart? Would I pay a serious consequence, right? If it's something very important you have to do for your, business or your career, that might have real consequences. So then you realize, oh yeah, that's something I want to do and I want to stay committed to. And you can also ask if that version of you that's doing that thing, if that feels like the true authentic personality that is you, or if it feels like acting. If it feels like acting, then you know. And if you're not sure, ask yourself again, because somewhere deep inside of you, there will be an answer to that. So if you're working through the journaling exercises with me, what I want you to think about is a habit that you may have maybe used to do out of obligation or feeling like you needed to for other people that you no longer do. I want you to consider, how did you figure that out? How did you decide to let it go? How did you know that it was time? You can pause the audio and then press play and resume with us again once you've continued journaling at that out. And what I want you to realize and recognize is that journaling out when you've done it before, again, builds that confidence that we're talking about that allows you to get better and better at this. This is a skill, and we start small and then we grow from there. And the good news is, even though shedding these layers, these heavy, heavy layers, and surrendering and letting go can come with some really difficult things to process and move through, and these different types of resistance, both from us and from others, some really amazing things come out of the other side. And you do get to walk away with some major, major benefits. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here talking to you about it. There is a benefit, there is a bonus, there is a purpose to letting go. First of all, the mental clarity, like I talked about, your brain space. You have fewer decisions to make, less emotional clutter, less just random stressful thoughts running on the track circle around your brain, yelling and screaming about all of the pressure and guilt and shame over things that don't actually matter. You get emotional freedom. There's less pressure to perform and show up in a way that doesn't even make sense and do things that you just don't want to do, which then gives you your time and energy back. So you're more vibrant and excited and you just get to enjoy and be present and grateful for your life. And then all of that extra room and time and energy gets to be spent on what you actually care about, on what actually matters to you. And like I said, it's not just something you just do and then you're done. It's a process. There's new layers and new layers, and you might even realize over time you add on another layer and then realize, oh, that's just not comfortable. It's too heavy. I'm going to take that back off again. So it's a continual process, and the work for that is something that we can always continue to do. So you might start with one area of your life. Maybe it's your appearance, like some of mine was physical and surface level, but that was still taking a lot of my time and energy. Maybe it's commitments you have in your personal life or in the community or in your family. Maybe it's something at work. Maybe it's in your relationship or your friendships. So pick one area and then just decide one thing in that area to either stop or reduce or let go of a little bit for a certain amount of time. It could be a week, a few days, a couple of weeks. Decide how long you'll do that and then mark your calendar at the end of that so that you can come back and assess how you feel when you're done. When you're done with that period of time without that pressure, without that stress. So you can see what difference that made. And that's probably one of the best ways too to answer if you're not sure is try it out. If it absolutely was detrimental and you absolutely needed it in your life, you can go back, right? Worst thing that can happen is you just go right back to how you were doing it. And if you're a list person or if it helps for you to visually see it and write it, you can create a list over time as you build those layers and take those layers off. Write down what the layers are you took off. What is it you will no longer do, think, take time on, allow to steal your energy? What are those things? List them out as you discover them. And then don't just focus on what you're removing, focus on what you're putting in that space. Is it just open space and stillness? Is it time for meaningful connection? Maybe you want to spend time being creative or actually allowing your body to rest or your mind to rest for the first time in a long time. And you may start by grieving the old identity, even if it wasn't healthy, even if it wasn't good, even if it robbed you of your energy and excitement. It's okay if you still want to grieve it and feel sad. It's okay. We can let go of how we used to see ourselves, of how people used to see us, of these old labels and identities that we used to carry around, and accepting that some of our relationships might change as we change, and that's okay. Without change, there is no us, there is no life, there is no universe, there is no exploration. Like you and I wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation on a podcast if change didn't exist in the world. We get to do these things because of change. So accepting the change that comes with shedding, with letting go, and allowing ourselves to outgrow past ideas of what we considered to be successful or old definitions of what meant we were good enough or worthy. You don't owe anyone that old version of yourself, especially if it was draining you and stealing all of your energy and happiness and joy. And I want you to walk away with this episode asking yourself what that thing is, what that one thing is that you could release starting after this episode and sitting down with your journal prompts to create space for the life you actually want to be living. This is how we do it. We all talk about, living our best life and being our, best true self, but it doesn't happen until we sit down and really do the work. And I am so excited to see and hear what you decide to start shedding today. Thank you for braving the inside of your mind with me. The better we understand ourselves, the more deeply we understand the world, and as our awareness grows, life just gets better and better. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to leave a review and share this with anyone else you think could benefit from listening. A quick reminder that the content shared in this podcast is for informational purposes only. I am not a licensed therapist, and the discussions here are not a substitute for professional advice. If you're dealing with a specific issue or need personalized guidance, please consult with a qualified professional. Your well-being is important, and this podcast is simply a platform for sharing insights and experiences. I appreciate you spending this time with me. Until next time.